Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Joe Malone. What's up,
How you
Joe?
doing?
How you
How you doing,
doing,
brother?
man?
How are you?
Thank you for coming on my show, man. I really appreciate it.
I'm honored to be here.
And for all the people out there, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. So Joe is a ex-detective, and you work for the town of Cicero, Illinois, next to Chicago. It's a very legendary town. And you were involved with a pretty major case. Was it one of the biggest cases of your career, do you think?
I think it's one of the biggest cases anybody's ever had anywhere in the world. It's definitely my biggest case.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other cases where there were 7 people murdered, other than the St. Valentine's Day massacre, which also kind of has a Cicero connection with Al Capone. So, yeah, this is the biggest case. I don't know anybody who's had a bigger case.
So how did the day start off when you got the call because of this fire? How did it all transpire?
I was in bed. It was Valentine's Day. Um, I was off because of Valentine's Day. I took the day off so I could spend some time with my wife. And my phone rings, and it was my boss, Bernie Harrison. He was deputy superintendent of detectives. And my phone rings, and I'm like, not today. I mean, not today. We had a whole bunch of stuff planned, you know.
Yeah.
And I says, what's up, Bernie? And he goes, we got a fire right now. It's burning, raging at 3034 48th Court. I said, okay. He goes, there's a house full of people, and I think there's 7 people missing. I'm not sure. I think they're still in there. And I went, what do you mean you think? And he says, it's chaos over here. When you get here, you'll understand. So I got my gear, and I told
What
my
time was
wife,
that? What time?
like 6:30 in the morning, like 6 in the morning, maybe 6, between 6 and like 6:30, if I remember correctly. And I told my wife, I'm like, have a nice day. Little did I
Yeah.
know it would be have a nice month and a half or something like that, basically. I know this. It was cold. Holy, oh my God. That was my breath. That's not even the smoke from the fire. No, that's the
Wow.
smoke.
Yeah.
That
So
was,
when you pull
that
up in
was,
you go in your own car, right? To the
yeah. Well, I drove to the scene in my personal car, and I had to leave it blocks up because there were so many emergency vehicles, fire vehicles, and the like. I had to park blocks away and walk up. I didn't go and get they normally you're supposed to go to the station, get a squad and everything like that, but we took whatever cars were available to us over there at that time, and I had to take my fire gear home because I never knew what car I was going to have it in. So I'm like, well, I ain't going in to go get a car to throw my fire gear in to go there. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I just walked up in my own car. I mean, I wasn't too worried. I had a Pontiac Torrent at the time. If they want to destroy it, okay, I'll make it through that.
And you're the fire inspector at the time, right? So it's
I was a police detective, but I was assigned to their they call it fire prevention unit. It should be called fire investigation, but that's what we did. One of the things I did, one of the hats I wore, did a lot of. It was a real tough. It was the toughest courses I've ever taken, and I never learned so much in my life. And now to tell you the truth, the kids hate it because they light a candle, and I'm like, oh, that's too close to the window. That's too close to the shades. Oh, you left you got a heater on. You're not in your room. What you got a heater for? I got a heat all over the house.
even chargers can catch fire.
Yeah,
Like just leaving
yeah.
them plugged in. It's
Leave
insane.
something plugged in. Put something on top of it. You got resistant heat. Next thing you know, boom, you got a problem. So the kids hate it because I'm a mental patient when it comes to stuff like this. I'm pointing that off. Oh, you had toast. You put the toaster away while it was still hot. So yeah, I'm kind of a pain in the ass.
So you get there. What's your first move that day? And are there people that are alive trying to get out of the building?
No, no, no. Um, Again, look, anybody who knows me is going to tell you I got my heart is on my sleeve. It's not that I can't handle nothing. I can handle, and especially when it's time to perform. Get your job done. I'm a no problem guy, but my boss knew some of this. I didn't need to know and hear at that exact minute. And there was a 911 call that came in from somebody inside that building. I know who it is. I know all of it now, and you could hear them in there. Nobody got out. They had no chance of getting out. The people who were out right away. And
How were
this
they
there was
trapped? Was it a certain way because like they trapped them in there a certain way, or
he trapped them in there. There's one way in and one way out of that attic. And one way in and one way out is through the back stairway. If you were in the attic, you were not getting out. You were not getting out. And that's where he started this fire. And it started it that way on purpose. That was the plan from jump. From jump. That's Marion Comier. He's the guy who torched it. Marion Comier acted or felt as if the owner he was like the maintenance guy of the building. He had the guy who owned multiple buildings, but he was in the red like you won't believe. And this was his go-to guy, his fix-it guy, Marion Comier. He goes there, and Larry Myers, who owned the building, Lawrence Myers, the older guy, the old man, he had been asking people, all sorts of people, forever to burn down this building. They called it the VA building because they bought the building with a VA loan. So he called it the VA building. And he had been asking people left and right to burn it down. He had asked so many people to burn it down, and so many people had heard him saying it. Nobody believed that it was serious.
so insurance purpose is the reason
Yeah.
for him to even try this type of thing, right?
Yeah, and his math was so far off with what he thought it was. That's Larry right there. Larry's no longer with us. Larry died in prison. I don't know what happened to him personally. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what got him. And whatever it was, he didn't suffer long enough, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and I don't give a shit who hears me say it or how they feel.
People don't know the story, like, because it gets pretty tragic as we go along. So you're out there, you're fighting the fire. Are you guys just spraying water on the fire? Like, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to
There
get
was no way to get up there now other than with like a hook and ladder truck. There was nothing you could put against that house that was going to stay up against that house. We had a fireman who almost died in that fire. They had an oxygen tank was inside the building, and the fire won't set off the oxygen tank. Heat will set off the oxygen tank. There's a difference. I can put fire on an oxygen tank all day, but if it's not heated, it ain't going to go. Well, fire also produces heat. Heat sent this thing off like a missile, and it hit the wall where the chimney is, and it all came down on top of one of our firemen. I saw that. I thought he was dead.
Oh,
I
like
did not think
it shot like a torpedo and the bricks fell?
Yeah, I didn't know what shot and hit it at the time. None of us. There was so much debris falling and smoke. None of us knew that. It wasn't until we got inside we were able to know that. But it shot like a missile and took down the whole chimney, and it came down on one of our firemen. And I was positive that was. And I just got there when that happened. I had just got there, I was positive. I know this sounds terrible. I mean, I wasn't happy about it, but I'm like, there's no way this guy's living. There's no way he's alive now. I mean, you get hit with that many bricks, you're dead. Yeah. But he's alive, and he finished his career as a fireman a bit shorter than he was before it happened, believe it or not. But That's a guy who was a great guy. He's a great guy, and couldn't him coming out of it. Um, couldn't happen to a nicer man, in my opinion. He was a wonderful human.
Were the suspects on the scene as this is going on?
I found out later that Larry Meyer, the person who owned the building, had shown up to the scene. I didn't see him there. Later, he's caught on the wire. Saying he went. I think he said he drove up there or something, or he maybe. Oh, I take that back. He sent somebody there, is what it was. Yeah, I honestly never saw any of them on those guys on the scene, but I was way too busy. You know, when you're it's very rare that an arson investigator, a fire investigator, gets to actually see the fire burning. You know, and that's a great thing to watch for your investigation, of course. You could see the spread. Fire, spreads at a certain speed to what it's consuming. All right.
Yeah,
There are things that can make it go faster. And I knew that when I got there and I saw, I lived in Lyons at the time. From the village of Lyons to the village to Cicero is about 10 minutes, a 15-minute ride at the most. I promise you, it took me enough time to brush my teeth, throw clothes on, and leave. So let's exaggerate and say it took 45 minutes for me to get there. I do not believe it took me that long, but let's exaggerate and say it. The spread of that fire within the 45 minutes, it had to be helped. It either found something in that building that let it spread that much, or somebody put something in there to spread it that much that quickly. What the answer is to that at that point, I had no idea. But this is not the first time that I was involved in a major fire investigation when people died. I was in another one where 5 people were killed. It was actually on the day Steve Bullets got shot.
Shout out to Stevie Bullets too.
Yeah, it was a day Steve Bullets got shot. I was not the lead on that. I was a young detective at the time. Actually, my boss who called me in for this was the lead detective on that case. And I wasn't a fire investigator yet. Those guys were, ended up handling that fire. But I was there and I saw that spread. And from my training and from just common sense of understanding, just common sense would tell you something here is way more than meets the eye. And we have to keep our eyes out for it. At no time did I tunnel vision it, because you screw everything up with tunnel vision when it comes to investigations.
Yeah, like
pretty much when it comes to anything.
Focusing on one person.
Not just one person, but one idea. Especially in an investigation, if you take something and you look at one idea only, you're going to miss. You miss the big picture. That's called you lead the investigation as opposed to the investigation leading you. All right, you cannot. You can control the investigation. You can control how fast it moves, perhaps, but where the case goes, you have no control over. You go to it. It takes you there, and it was important to me to keep that open in my head. There was lots of people who were on the scene of that fire who were also on the scene of the fire that killed the 5 people, the Poole family, a long time ago in Cicero as well. And there are lots of people who were at both. I was one of them. And many people were talking, this is just too, it looks too similar. And they're right, it looked too similar. But my investigation was in no way going to focus on it just looks too similar. I needed something much more concrete. And when we got in there, it was pretty clear through circumstantial evidence of people coming up to us that we had ourselves a real serious arson, because arson, much like many other crimes, things that are left behind are not always there. They disappear, even if what you're using is fuel. Gas disappears in your car when you consume it, right? Well,
yeah.
When fire consumes gasoline, it is gone too. And when it soaks into something and it's all burned away, that's gone too. You can bring your doggy in that's trained to smell accelerants, but if it's burned away, it's not going to smell anything. You
Yeah.
have to make your case backwards. And in this case, we made our case backwards. Instead of going to immediate, instead of us having fingerprints to use or things to make a case in that way, we had to start with circumstantially and then build our case up with physical evidence from there.
What were the range of the victims who died in that fire? Of the age?
One was 3 days old.
Wow.
I believe the youngest was, or the oldest was 20, 21 maybe, just in their very early 20s. These, to me, these were all kids. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and if you're in your 20s, I have kids who are in their 20s, and to me, they're still kids, you know?
Yeah.
Even then, to me, they were kids. Yeah, I wasn't an old man like today then, but they were kids. They were just kids.
And the family of the victims are outside, right?
Yeah, a lot of them were outside. It was real tough. Some of them weren't even there. Some of them had left early to go to work, like even earlier than that time in the morning, because they had very early jobs. A couple of them, so they were gone, and keeping the count. You know, my boss was like, I think we have 7 missing when you do the count. He goes, but I don't know. There's people everywhere. You know, I mean, we ended up getting a CTA bus and went Cicero Avenue, and I'm like, you're gonna drive this bus to this spot by this church, and you're gonna keep it right here. And he says, I've got people on the bus. I'm like, well, get them off the friggin' bus.
Yeah.
There's another bus that'll come. I'm like, believe me, if I'm telling you I need this, I'm not ruining your day for the sake of ruining your day.
Yeah.
You know, I have no other ideas how to figure this out. All right, bring this bus here. I stayed on the bus. We brought it there. Everybody on the bus was very cool. I did the best explanation I could get, and they jumped right off. They were very nice and understanding. I didn't know what else to do. I can't count people who are alive to eliminate people that aren't if I can't centralize them.
Yeah.
And it was freezing.
Yeah. So you're spraying the fires. Is the water that you're spraying on the fire freezing and people slipping all over the place?
Yeah. I fell on my ass a couple times. The Illinois State Fire Marshal fell really, really, really hard once. Really hard. His was really funny though. He fell. You know how some people like fall and they just end up on their ass.
Yeah.
That's what I did. All right, I fell. I got up, fell on my ass. I was smart enough then to crawl away from the ice to get back up.
Yeah.
He just fell on his ass, but he didn't crawl away to get back up. And yeah, he looked like Dorothy Hamill if Dorothy Hamill didn't know what the hell she was doing and she was on crack or something.
Like slipping all over. Yeah, feet trying to catch up to his legs.
Yeah, there was no catching up to this. There was ice everywhere. And once we got inside, after the fire was struck and the investigation began, that's when it was really, really dangerous. I mean, we had to add the ice from the fire to the structural damage of the building. Sounds like there's a fire somewhere right now.
Speaking of the devil, right?
Yeah. It's probably a crash on my corner. My corner has more car crashes than anywhere in the world, I think.
It'll put some context to the story.
Yeah, it's really gonna sound cool like we planned it, but we're just cool guys. That's how it works out.
Yeah, we didn't plan this at all.
No, that just worked out that way. We did everything we could in there. It was freezing cold, ice as can be. The building is completely 100% unreliable, like is the nice way to put it. It's completely unlivable, but it's coming down, and we got to be in it.
And there's absolutely no way that anyone can survive this. Like, they're not hurt and lived. Like, they're all gone. Everyone who was in this house is dead.
The dispatchers knew they were dead. My boss knew they were dead because he had been told about the 911 call at that point. I was sure nobody could make it out of there. And we had already found 2 bodies in the backyard from the collapse of the extension that came down. There was already 2 bodies in there. There was nobody getting out of this.
They fell into the backyard from the house.
In the extension, I guess there was a bedroom built into there, and these 2 young kids were sleeping in the bedroom. And when it collapsed, they were still in their beds when it went down. Smoke sometimes doesn't really wake you up; it just puts you in a deeper sleep. Now, that's the back of the building. You don't see the. You're not seeing the. You can't tell there was even an extension there, really. At that point.
Is this the top view of the fires?
Yeah, that was from one of the Actually, we subpoenaed and got the video from the helicopter. When we watched the video from the helicopter, you were really able to see the centralization of that fire in the very back of the house. I mean, when you got to the front of the house, there was no fire.
Yeah, it looked like nothing happened, right?
It was just, it was just to the back of the home, and it was nothing was saving them. Nothing. A fire chief found the fire. That's how we found out that that 911 call came after a fire chief was already there, and he could not get in. He makes it before he goes into the station every day. This fire chief, he's retired and gone. He would take a ride through town and then go into the station. And he was going over the bridge and he saw the smoke, the bridge over Laramie, which goes over to Burlington Northern. He just called it in and said, "Hey, we've got a big working fire here, but I don't know exactly where yet. I'm going to find it and let you know." And by that time, the 911 came in, and they knew he gets there. There was the whole back was consumed at that point. And he's a big, important, huge part of this investigation. You have somebody who understands fire there at the beginning of the fire, just by chance.
Yeah, like as it's first starting, too.
I mean, if he's 5 minutes earlier, maybe, but not at this point. He had to find it first. Remember, he doesn't know exactly where it is. Yeah. He just sees it from the bridge, and he's pretty sure it's still Cicero. He's like, get the fire trucks out, get them moving south, get them moving towards Cicero Avenue, and 31st is basically what he said, but he did not know where to send them exactly. Yeah, he hadn't gotten there yet. I really don't know. I'm sure I did at the time. I don't know if dispatch tells him to go there, if he found it on his own. I'm sorry, I can't recall.
That's all right.
When he got there and saw it, there was no getting in. There was nothing zero he could do. And he really had to have it really tough because he was the first one to find out there were people in there. And there wasn't a goddamn thing he could do. And that's all he's done his whole life.
And no one could sit there helpless.
Yes. Nobody could tell a fireman or a policeman. I'm getting hot just thinking about it. Nobody could tell a fireman or a policeman, somebody needs your help, but you can't do nothing about it. It's the worst feeling in the world. I mean, we're kind of control freaks because we're taught if you lose control, you die. So we're kind of control freaks. And when you tell us we can't do anything, and when you visually see there's nothing you can do, you ain't Superman. You can't blow out the fire.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing. You can't fly in there, grab them, shield them with your friggin' cape with the S on the back of it, and get them out because you don't got the S on your chest. I'm just a man.
But with the people, with the guy who's trying to dupe the system, who's causing arson, and with these innocent people in the building, there's really nothing that you can do to avoid the situation. I mean, one thing that could have helped this situation, maybe fire escapes, but would these people even have a chance to get out? You know, were they sleeping when this
They were
happened?
sleeping.
All of them, right?
The story goes like this. The day before, there was a party for the dad of these kids. The dad's blind. He's a wonderful man. I think about him. I swear to you. I think about the Gist family every single day. But Mr. and Mrs. Gist, they're on my mind constantly because it's a loss that I don't. I don't know. I can't put into words that kind of loss. Can you find words for a loss like that? Because I don't have them. I don't know if the English language has a catastrophe doesn't do it justice. That loss is. I have him in my head all the time, but it was his birthday the day before, and they had a birthday party there. And Marion Comier knew about it.
That's the guy who was fixing the place up for him.
Yeah,
right?
the maintenance guy. This guy. This.
Co-conspirator.
No, he's alive. He's
Yeah,
alive.
he was the co-conspirator.
Oh, I thought you said the spirit. The guy who's now a spirit.
No, he's in hell, man. He's burning down there forever, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his daily activity in hell is Hitler shoving pineapples up his ass. I hope.
I mean that's probably good treatment for someone like him.
He deserves it. He deserves it. And let me tell you something. I know I'm going to heaven. But I'm going to see if God can let me visit for a bit down in hell. Because I need him to understand what he's done. Because I don't think he's ever really faced it. He didn't do it himself. He had somebody do it. I really think that he hasn't faced it. And he didn't get a chance to understand it because he went too quick. You know, I want to be the guy that may admit. I think Marion Comier knows what he did. I don't think Larry ever did. And it sounds stupid. I know you're looking at me like I'm nuts, but I have to live with this every day. And I want that son of a bitch. I want him to live with it too. And he's gone, so he can't. But I want his eternity to be, this is why you never faced it. I listened to those wires. And in it, he said, deny, denied. All we have to do is deny, 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 deny. He also used the N-word about 10 million times. This family was a black family. To him, it didn't matter they were gone.
Wow.
I didn't know what color these people were when I got there. Till I started putting them in the bus. I had no idea. It meant nothing to me. But to him, it did. It didn't matter to him. It didn't matter to him that Marion Comier was black. And he used Marion Comier to build, not just to burn the building down, but he used Marion Comier as a vessel. And that vessel was not just to go and burn this building down. He used him as a vessel of evil. All right? He played Marion Comier. Oh, we'll make out. You'll get this. You'll get a portion of it. You'll get a percentage. What percentage were you getting on this building? We did the math. We had we called the ATF to help us do the math. Believe it or not, ATF has really, really, really good people in there who can do really good financial investigations for fires for profit. And financial cases weren't my thing. Somebody gets their head cut off, you give me a call. All right, if somebody steals the money out of your bank account, I could probably figure it out, but it wasn't my strong point.
Yeah.
So I had to get someone to help me, but it didn't take very long to get into this guy's financials to see he was fucked.
Yeah, he probably wasn't paying his insurance and all this stuff. They're not
He hadn't
gonna.
paid taxes in years and years and years. There were no taxes paid. I mean, this guy was going down the drain faster than a turd after Sunday morning breakfast.
Yeah, like he was gonna end up losing that building anyway, right? He was gonna
That
lose it.
building, his other building. He had a building in Wisconsin he was going to lose. He had a building in Bolingbrook, I believe it was, that he was going to lose as well. His empire was crashing.
After he got arrested and convicted, what happened with all the properties and everything he had?
They were all boarded up, most of them knocked down. We had wires put up in one of the buildings. We had a wire on his girlfriend. We put a wire on his girlfriend. She was a cooperating witness in the case. Benita.
She come to you guys?
She came to us. Not like we wouldn't have gone to her. The interesting story about Benita, she has been a witness to another murder I worked before this.
What?
There was a gang, and here's the really interesting story. She's showing an apartment to Marion Comier. So Marion Comier can move in and live in this apartment. This is way before the fire. And as she's showing the apartment, a gang called the Tutu Boys were out there, and they shot up a car that they thought were filled with maniac Latin disciples. It actually wasn't. It was filled with the similar car to theirs, similar vehicle to that car that the maniacs had, but it was other people in it. And they were killed one of them in the car, crippled one of them, and another guy just got shot up pretty badly. And she saw the whole thing.
And she testified?
She sure as hell did.
Oh.
And we got a conviction.
And she was just still out in the community.
Yes. She was just still there.
I think there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them.
She was showing the apartment because she was Larry Myers owned the apartment. Larry Myers owned the building. Marion Comier was looking for a place to live, and she was showing him the apartment. She was just at the right place at the right time. Believe me, that got brought up in the trial. Like, oh, so this isn't your first encounter with her? I'm like, well, no, but she didn't shoot up the van, dude.
Yeah.
She's just there. I don't know what to tell you. She was just there.
So when you guys get linked up with her and you have her to use for the wiretaps, what happens then? Like what's the process? Do you gotta put a wire on her and tell her to go in there and tell her what to tell him, or do you just tell her to go in there and see what happens?
I didn't want to look. At first, I was wondering because she's the boyfriend, or the girlfriend, excuse me. Is she here for legit reasons, or is she fishing for information to give back to him? At first, I didn't know. So I didn't want to give her shit. I don't want to tell her nothing. But she's saying she's willing to wear a wire. For all I know, she's willing to wear this freaking wire so she can
help him, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's wearing a wire and she's going to get him to say all sorts of things that'll make it seem like he didn't do anything. I don't know. So I ain't going to feed her no info. But she knows everything about this. I just turned off the sound and I still get the freaking phone ring.
It's all right.
I didn't want to tell her shit, but she already knew. And she knows him better than she knows anybody. Larry, she knew him better than she knew anybody. If she was going to talk, I wanted to hear it. And I got a good statement from her before this, too. She told me he had been telling everybody he wanted to burn this building down. Everybody. Nobody believed him. Nobody believed he'd actually do it. She's like, he's asked me to do it 1,000,000 times. She was like, nobody took him serious. Nobody paid attention. To this guy. It was like every day, multiple times a day, it got brought up. And it got brought up so often. It's like one of those things. I'm going to use the Yankees as an example here, okay? I like to put things to sports analogies because basically I'm an idiot and I really just understand being a policeman in sports. Yeah. So let's go with sports. Everybody thinks before the season starts, the Yankees are always going to be in it, right? Because they're the friggin' Yankees.
Yeah.
And they're usually right because they're the Yankees, right? Because the Yankees. She knows this guy. Is she just telling me he's in it? Is she covering, or is she going to just try to feed info? And the biggest part of me believed her, but I wasn't about to give her any info. Her job was to get it from me. And she did. She did. She went in there and brought it up 1,000,000 times. And he did not want to acknowledge it. He didn't want to face it. He didn't want to talk about it.
But he'd deflect every time.
Every time he would deflect.
Yeah.
And eventually the deflection turned to loosening up a little bit on the wires when you listen. And listen, she's had wearing these wires for 24 hours, dude. So I got 24 hours of shit I got to listen to. It's not like I can go, okay, I'm listening to them clip each other's toenails and cough and talk about pills and all this bullshit and it had nothing to do with nothing. She's singing. This woman is Benita. I mean, she's a hero in this thing, but she doesn't exactly got a singing voice. All right. She's, singing Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. I mean, if Bon Jovi heard this, he'd sue. I'm listening to all this, trying to till I get to something good. And for his deflections end up going to, all we have to do is deny. And let me tell you, I got so shocked in this thing because I'm listening. And they know me from a prior murder case that I worked. And they know I'm a pretty relentless son of a bitch. I don't like to lose. I'm a terrible.
Poor sport.
Yeah, if you beat me, I promise you I'm coming back real hard if you fuck up again. You might get me once. You will never fucking fool me twice. All right? I will hunt you down to the end of the earth. And I swear that's the way I looked at my career. It made me a great cop and a really horrible person, probably. Probably. It did. But I would hunt you to the end of the earth. You will not get me twice. He knew what he was dealing with because he dealt with me in a murder before. And he says on there, he goes, the only thing that worries me, I swear to you, it's in there, is this Malone. He's like a super cop. He can hear through walls. Well, little did he know I could hear through walls. I had wires right in there. I was listening to every fucking word. I'm like, whoa, this guy thinks I'm like a fucking super cop. I'm like, he's actually, this guy's scared of me. I'm like, well, he should be scared of me because at that point I had double barrels on him.
You're like, I'm coming for you, right?
I am coming. Coming.
That day of the fire, you said that really stuck with you throughout your career. Like you said, it'll never leave you. Having to carry the bodies out of the building and everything.
I guess it's kind of weird, in ways, and I'll tell you why. I expected to have some issues with this after that. Who couldn't? I saw every bit of it. It's in my head now, right now. I'm thinking about it. The part that gets me the most is the call. I hear everything. I hear him die. They were so desperate to get out that the oldest male in the building was trying to break through the wall so he could get to the next apartment so he could exit. And the smoke just overtook him.
Wow.
And I found him in a chair in that building, in the part that didn't go down, obviously, with his hand up against the wall still like this. Even when he knew it was over, but he was still hitting that wall with all he had left. And even if this is all he had left, that's all he had left. And that's a man I wanted to help. I wanted to help him. It's a man who took never give up to the next level, so to speak. I wanted to help all of them, don't get me wrong, but I go to sleep at night and I'm that man sometimes. I'm him. And the person that has suffered with it more than anybody is my wife. She's in the bed with me. And sometimes I knock my CPAP machine because I'm a big fat bastard right across the room. I'm trying to punch my way out of the thing, out of its building, and my CPAP machine goes knocking around the room. It's about my fourth CPAP machine now. I've knocked the hell out of. I mean, I could be a really, really good world heavyweight champion boxer if the only thing I fought were CPAP machines in my sleep.
Yeah.
My wife jumps up and she realizes kind of when I get a little bit loud, I guess, when I start getting this way, and sometimes I wake her up and she can pull me out of it. Sometimes she can't. It's not about what it ain't about what it did to me. Okay. It's about what it did to everybody else. All right. And I promise you, it would be 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 times worse if I didn't get these two sons of bitches. If I didn't get them, I don't know what kind of man I'd be today. If I'd even be here, honestly. If I'd even be here, I don't know. I don't know. After what I saw that day, I don't know. I got really fucking deep.
Yeah, man. So when after you get these wiretaps, what happens then? Did they write a warrant for this guy?
Yeah, I wrote. Actually, we have to write what's called. In this case, it was a consensual overhear.
And who went first? Did the landlord go first, or did the
We hit them
landlord?
both at the same exact time. Well, you mean when we arrested them?
Yeah.
We hit them both at the same exact time.
And did they fold under
No.
questioning?
Larry did, but this is the kind of confession you need on video. And one of our detectives, he was, he had all sorts of health issues, tons. He had to have, basically what he was a dope addict from pills. He had to have a certain cocktail of pain meds or he couldn't make it through the day and he had to have it twice a day. He knew how to make it. Benita knew how to make it. And the doctors know how to make it. And that's pretty much it. Well, I wasn't making him a fucking cocktail pain medication. I don't know how to make this shit.
Oh, for this guy, right?
Yeah. We had to take him to the VA hospital. And we sent a detective with him, this Detective Jason Stroud, who recently is no longer with the department from an injury. Hell of a detective. He made sergeant. He was a great sergeant. And as far as I'm concerned, he's a 100% class act human being, married to a wonderful human being as a wife. and he has these two beautiful kids. He's a Cub fan, which is the only thing I can say that makes him a horrible person. Other than that, if Jason can't called me up today and said, "Hey, I got a couch I got to get out of my living room. Could you come help me?" My ass is over there helping him carry a couch out of his living room. That's the kind of man I think Jason Stroud is. And Jason went to the hospital to be with Larry, and Larry gave it up to Jason. But the moment the cameras were on, Larry would not talk in front of those cameras. But he confessed to Jason. And there were nurses there and stuff too who heard it.
And that's good enough, right?
It really wasn't. We're talking about Chicago. We're talking about Cook County. These cases get tried in a process called felony review, where they looked at these cases and see whether or not you got enough to charge them with a felony. That's not what they're doing. They're actually trying the goddamn cases to make sure that they can win. It's a million times worse today than it was then. A million times worse. Anita Alvarez was the state's attorney then, and believe me, we had some problems with her, but nothing like we got now with Kim Foxx. This woman is...
What, do they not take on the cases? Like if there's a murder or something, we're not going to...
They want you to have it where they ain't got to fight it today.
Yeah, like a slam dunk case, right?
Yeah, they got their attorneys. They're not good enough to beat the private attorneys, because all the good attorneys in the state's attorney's office will not work for this state's attorney. They're all leaving. She knows she's got nothing. So you better bring her something if she's going to make a case, because she ain't going to try it. She's got to have somebody try it. And she ain't got... Listen, I will never work in Cook County. I know it. I'll say it already. All right? I've shit all over this state's attorney's office for 26 years. And I'm going to shit on him some more. Kim Foxx is the worst thing that's ever happened to Cook County. Period. Thank God she wasn't in charge of stuff back then. Thank God. That's a conversation for a whole nother podcast we could have with the injustices of Kim Foxx, J.B. Pritzker, and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and the Cook County and the State of Illinois Governor's Office. It's a whole nother thing, and this isn't a political thing, so I don't want to get into it. But I will tell you this: we had a different person then, but you still had to bring the goods. You know, eventually on that wire, Benita sets up a meeting with Larry and Marion Comier at their house.
That's Marion Comier. Or Marion Comier. So
that's the actual torch himself.
Yeah, he's the one who lit the fire, right?
Yes. And they asked, that's Larry, that was the building owner who had him light the fire.
Yeah.
And the conversation starts like this, with Larry verbally attacking him, because Larry attacks him and says, "Where do you get off saying that you're going to get this amount of money? I told you you'd get this amount of money or that amount of money." They're arguing over money before they're even talking about them just killing 7 fucking people. I don't know if I can say that word on your phone.
Yeah, it's all right.
For all I know, I've said it already, and I don't know. Subject gets me worked up.
I can edit it out. It's good.
You could say whatever. I mean, I don't give it. You guys say all the words you want to hear. If you want to edit them. I don't care. They're already talking about the money. They're not even talking about 7 dead children that they killed. So then Benita says to him, "How did they not find what you used to start the fire?" And this dumbass thinks the reason that we can't find it was because he mixed oil with gasoline, poured it on the couch that he put back there. He put a couch in the back porch area, and he stuffed it all with clothes and papers and things like that. And he mixed oil with the gasoline, he says. And that's why they couldn't find it. That's
They
where
couldn't.
that
What
was
were
too
they couldn't find
stupid to
what?
find it. Because he mixed oil with gasoline.
Oh, they couldn't find where the source of the fire came.
No, we knew the source. We knew where it was. But we needed him. We had that pinpointed through investigation at this point. He thinks in his head that the reason we didn't find any accelerant is because he did such a good job mixing oil with gasoline.
And it just burned it all up. And
the reason we couldn't find it was it got burned all up.
yeah.
Not because he mixed oil with gasoline. It burned. If there was any accelerant in the back of that building that was stored there, we didn't find that either because it all got burned up. Every drop of it. The building in the back was gone.
Yeah, I got the picture
Gone.
right here.
Everything was gone. I mean, this section here that you're looking at had something built into it, and it's gone. So, no offense to Marion Comier, he's no fucking genius. His mixture didn't save him. You know what would have saved him? Shutting his fucking mouth. You know what would have saved him? Not fucking doing it.
Hey, he has to live with that now for the rest of his life, and I'm sure it haunts him.
Well, he's sitting in not a real happy prison. He's in a rougher place. He's in Menard. It's a real rough prison in Illinois. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's not a place you take the kids to go on the swings. I can tell you that. I can also tell you that he killed kids. I don't think you're a popular guy in a joint when you kill kids.
No, especially one that's a couple days old.
Yeah.
3 days?
I'm pretty sure he's going to have a very, very rough rest of his life. And unlike Marion Comier, who spent Larry Myers, who spent his time in a prison hospital, basically. You know, he was sick, so they had to put him in a hospital. He was treated, he got a little bit different treatment because of his health problems. I think, his hell is today. I think Marion Comier is living through hell every day in Menard.
Good.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. He says he mixed the oil with the gasoline. He burned it. He left. And then he calls Larry Myers and tells him.
So there's like a record of him calling him.
Yes,
right after
I've got the record. I've got more than the record. He says, "It's done, big guy. Don't call me." And he hangs up. Don't call me. You already called me. What kind of moron are you? You just did this. All you'd have to do is drive 4 blocks to where the guy lived and tell him, "Oh, it's done. Leave me alone." Then he went and visited his kids who were in St. Charles, Illinois. I followed him. Everywhere his cell pinged, I followed it when I wrote my warrants to get all that information. We actually pinpointed his location when he made the call. He made the call when he was still next to the building that he just torched.
So you got him right at the spot, making the call to the owner, saying it's done.
Well, the only reason we know what he said was because Benita was next to Larry when the phone call came through, and she heard what was said. "It's done, big guy. Don't call me." She came forward real quick, Benita, and she, in her head, she felt that she had some culpability. And there's lots of people out there who feel she has culpability in this. And I'm going to tell every one of those people, she has no culpability. Nobody believed this was going to happen. She's got as much culpability as all the people who say she's got culpability. Because all of them had heard Larry say, "Let's burn this building down too." None of them came forward.
None of them did anything about it.
No one came forward because nobody believed it. Who's crazy enough to burn down a building filled with frickin' people?
So from
Everybody's like, Larry, you're just talking shit. Stop. Leave it alone. Nobody paid attention to it.
yeah, how long from when the fire happened to when they get arrested? How long of a period of time was this?
About a month and a half. It was about a month and a half um, to get it to get them, get it on the wire. Remember, I had to listen to every day's worth of the wire, and I had other detectives working with me too. But I mean, while one's listening, one's running one's at the morgue for 7 autopsies. You know, one's at the lab having pieces of wood tested for accelerant. Um, you know, there's a million things going on. There's a
You got
CNN.
the wiretaps with the girl. You got all kinds of stuff going on.
There's a CNN truck parked in front of the burned down CNN. I cannot tell you the kind of pressure that was on us at that moment. It was unbelievable. And parts of this, I wanted to eat. I didn't want the other detectives to eat. They weren't fire investigators. I didn't want, if someone was going to eat the worst of this, it was going to be me. I wanted that job as a fire investigator. I wanted to learn everything, to be honest with you, except for traffic crashes and stuff. That wasn't my thing. But I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to be the best there ever was. If you're going to put me, if I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hunt a bad guy, I want that bad guy knowing the best in the world is coming after you. And he's going to learn everything and get even better. So you're never, don't think you're safe because I didn't find you today, because I'm never going to stop hunting you. And there's people I didn't catch yet. And I'm retired today. But I promise you, if I'm 80 and I see that son of a bitch walking down the street, I'm grabbing him and holding him. And I'm still alive.
Got the job done.
And I will testify at 80, as long as my brain's still good. I'm done, but I'm not exactly done. You know, I have warrants for people's arrests for murder or hiding in other places and stuff like that. And they called me and said, we need you to come testify. I would be there at the drop of a hat. I wouldn't be happy because I don't want to do favors for this jerk-off state's attorney. But for justice, I will do. If she's real serious about justice, I'm real serious about delivering it. Still to this day.
So how long did the trial take for them to get convicted? And did they go to trial? Did they just cop out?
No, they went to trial. There is no cop out. At first, we still had the death penalty, and state's attorney Anita Alvarez, who was the state's attorney at the time, she said, "This is where we're going with this case. We're going to kill these two guys." Basically, is what she said upon conviction. But in the middle of this, one of the governors put a moratorium on the death penalty. I don't care. That's not for me to care about or not care about. And I'll tell you the truth. If they invited me to the executions, I wouldn't have gone. I've seen enough people die at that point in my career. I didn't need to see more people die. Justice is them no longer being here to hurt people. They're in prison. That's my job. I got them there. I don't need to watch them die. I don't need that shit. I don't need that.
So how long did the trial take, and how long did they deliberate for?
Larry went first. Larry fired all his lawyers and represented himself. I was cross-examined by a moron. It was unbelievable.
It's crazy that they would even let somebody do something like that.
Well, they didn't. They fought it off forever. They fought with him for a long, long time. 3 years or something like that.
He's smarter than everyone else, right? He's smarter.
He was smarter than everybody. He should have just said, you know what? Here's my thing I'm going to do. Will somebody drive me to Menard and I'll just put myself right in there? How's that sound? He would have been better off doing that. because he made a mockery out of this, out of everything in the court. Marion Comier had 3 attorneys, public defenders, representing him, who they were put up with basically an impossible task, if you ask me.
Yeah.
They got his own words saying he did it. But all they can do is fight the case, because all he can get is life in prison without the possibility of parole. So they can't downgrade it to anything. He's killed 7 people. You got to fight it, because all you can do is get life without possibility of parole. If you leave, here's the problem that I have with getting rid of the death penalty. It's not that I want to see people whacked out. I don't care about that. If they get whacked, they get whacked for what they did. It ain't my business. I'm not going there. I'm not putting it in them. I'm not killing them. I don't agree with watching it, but if that's the law, that's the law. It ain't my issue. But when you take that off the table, all you're left in these situations is life without the possibility of parole.
Yeah.
So be prepared for fights in court, because that's all you can do all you got to do now is fight in court, because you can't make him an offer. You can't make him a deal to give him life without the possibility of parole. I didn't need either of them to die. To be honest with you, I wanted them both in prison for a long time.
Yeah, their life probably be more miserable. Yeah.
Yeah. Let them feel hell. I want them to feel hell for a while they're still living, before they get the eternity of it. I want them to feel it right here. I want them to feel what that man in that chair felt, that kind of fear, trying to save his people. I want him to feel that fear. And it's not my job to give it to him. My job is to administer justice. And I did that. When he gets to prison, that's when they get hell. That's what I wanted for them.
Hopefully it's what they get,
It's what Larry's getting it, I'm sure, in hell. And Marion Comier is definitely not the most popular man in Menard. Have I tracked him, found out what's going on with him, looked up his picture, any of that? Nope. I haven't done that. I've got a million reasons why. Mostly when I was working, I didn't do it because, frankly, I have other assholes I have to find right now. Yeah. I don't have time to think about that asshole anymore. Those assholes came to me in my thoughts when I didn't want them in my thoughts. That's when they came to me.
So you were involved.
It was a long time for Marion. Marion Comier was a long time, was 6 years. The trial was about a week and a half long. I did not stay on the stand very long in either trial. There was no need to put me on that much. My name came up in the trial so many times that they had to put me on just to introduce me to the jury.
Yeah, so I read a lot of articles, and your name is all over them.
Yeah. I didn't have a choice, but to go on so they could see, who I was. And I was a great big bloated fat bastard back then. I lost 111 pounds since retirement. I mean, I had to dress to the nines for this, to testify in this thing, and my uniform had to have it pressed. I had to get a brand spanking new one because I didn't think I could get one leg into the uniform pants. I had to go buy a whole brand new dress uniform with a whole new coat, the coat and everything, because I was a bloated bastard.
Congratulations right about this on the weight loss, man.
Well, it's selfish too, though, dude. I mean, if I died in the line of duty, my family was okay. They'd be upset for about 25 minutes, maybe to 45 minutes. They'd be very upset. And then their checks would start rolling in. They'd be like, I miss Dad, but I don't miss this. And they'd have their cars. So they'd be okay. All right. Yeah. Now I got to stay alive because I'm retired. They're not going to get that. So now I got to stay alive to produce.
You got to, man.
So I'm like, I better drop some friggin' tonnage. And now I'm a professional papa at home. I babysit my grandkids all the time. It's the best job I've ever had. I'm just a regular guy who found themselves that day in the worst in the worst situation, and I asked for it. And what I got today, sometimes, I got to deal with this stuff, and that's okay. If that's my penance for the things that I've had, that for my sins in my lifetime. I was a cop. I wasn't a saint. I'm sure I rubbed a million people the wrong way. I mean, I wasn't a bad guy. I didn't steal nothing or nothing. I never did nothing like that. I wasn't that kind of a guy. But I'm positive I've rubbed people the wrong way. My private life, my personal life, the whole shot. If my penance is this, then that's the shit sandwich I take a bite out of. That's the way it is.
Sometimes it's got to be like that, man.
It is what it is. It's my, I made it. I made it out. That fire changed everything for me. It changed every bit of it. It changed me in every single solitary way, and a lot of it's for the best. I have between my wife and I, we have 6 kids. It made me a better dad. Honest to God, it did. It brought me.
Makes you appreciate things.
I sat back and told myself, I'm going to appreciate the time I spend with them more than ever before. And my reason for that was these guys aren't going to be able to enjoy anything anymore. And I'm going to let you in on one more secret. The day Marion Comier got convicted, we are big fans of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I have family, friends there, boat. I have a boat up there in the town next to it, but we got a boat up there. It's like our home away from home. We used to just stay right on the boat. We had sleeping quarters on the boats where we used to stay. But I enjoy playing the gambling at the casino. And my wife, who's a nurse with very, very, very high level nurse with very high education and all that stuff, she likes to play the machines. So let's just say that we're Diamond Plus at the Caesars Palace Hotels. So we stay now at the Caesars for free because they're like, oh, the Malones are coming. This goes to the weekend.
Put the red carpet for them. Hey,
roll them right out.
Yeah, we'll give the special treatment for them.
Joey opened up the Caribbean stud poker table. We don't normally open it, but we opened it because we know you're here. Oh, yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not because every bet I'm going to throw down $25 and I got to back it up with another 50 with every bet. That's not why you're opening it. You're opening it for gift. Okay. Yeah. So we spent a lot of time up there. And the day the decision that the case went to trial, or went to the jury, on Marion Comier, there was nothing else I could do there. And my wife said, let's get the hell out of here. Let's go to Windsor. It's 4.5 hours from here, from Chicago. It's just on the other side of Detroit. So I said, yeah, let's go. I go, they'll call me and tell me what happens with the case. And I sat in Casino Windsor. I know everybody in the joint, I know everybody in the joint. And I'm just sitting in the room. My wife's coming up and down, checking on me and stuff. But, they're all asking my wife, where's Joe? You came here without him? Like, no, he's got this big case. He won't leave the room until he gets the answer because, he's keeping, if I stayed in the room, I had U.S. cell signal and I knew I'd still get the call.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't leave the room. And it was I think they were only out about 3 hours, but of that time, an hour and a half of it was lunch. So They weren't out that long,
So
but
it's
it was
probably like
3.5.
45 minutes. Really?
Dude, it was the longest 3.5 hours of my life. The second they called me, I answered the phone. The state's attorney was a man named Bill Delaney. I go to war with Bill Delaney any day. If the state's attorney would let Bill Delaney go to war still, I don't know. If he's still with the office, I don't know. And I don't know. But anyway, Bill Delaney says to me, guilty. All 7 counts of murder. Guilty for almost killing the fireman. Guilty for on everything. I said, okay. I went downstairs and I found my wife. There's an Italian restaurant right down the street from the casino. It's a really good restaurant. I mean, I'm Italian. I know.
Me too, man.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
I mean, I know if this shit's good and if this shit ain't good. This shit's good. So my wife and I, we go there and we sit down. And after the meal, I tell the waiter, I need 7 shots of Sambuca. He starts laughing. He goes, what the hell? You need 7 shots? I don't think I could sell you 7 shots of Sambuca. He said, that's what I need. Go talk to whoever you got to talk to. Here's why. And I didn't give him the whole story like I'm giving you. I'm like, I'm a cop. I just convicted 7 people, or I just convicted 2 people of killing 7 people. Okay? One of them was a 3-day-old baby. And I'm going to do a shot for every one of them that died. I don't think it was a second later before I had 7 shots in front of me of Sambuca. I named every one of them people. Every one of them. I'm sorry.
It's all right, man.
I said every one of their names. And I ain't a drink, dude. I am not. I might not have been a lightweight back then because I was heavy. But when it comes to drinking, if I do a shot of NyQuil, I'm out for 2 days. That's kind of guy I am,
Yeah.
I did each one of their names and did the shots. And I told Chris, I don't know when this is going to hit me, but it's going to hit me. So this is my wife. Her name is Chris. I'm sorry. And I said, she goes, well, she's known me for, it's my wife. She's like, well, let's go, back to the hotel, to the casino. And, when it hits you, we'll go to the room. I'm like, okay. We walked in and the casino's got a Johnny Rockets in it. It's like a restaurant chain type thing. And they had a Canadian maple shake. And I said, oh, that sounds good. So I get a big one of those. My wife's like, you probably shouldn't drink that with all the stuff you just drank. And I go, what do you know? She's a nurse. She knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
wasn't a good combination. But I did do a I don't want to say I celebrated their lives that day, but I needed a way to honor them in my way. And I'm Italian. It's Sambuca. It's good. I knew I was going to be drinking a lot of coffee after that, so Sambuca works with coffee. I just put it all together, and that was the first night that I had the dream, believe it or not. That was the first night I had the dream about being in the building. I don't think I recall any dreams about the fire before that. But I know that I had one that night, I remember. And I think that was the first one.
Damn, man. That's a deep story. It's pretty incredible story. And
I got approached a couple years ago. I was still working. So I never really gave it any credence to do. Guess they had a TV show called Caught on a Wire, and they wanted to do this on it. And I'm like, listen, I'm planning on retiring, real soon, but until I retire, I ain't doing none of this stuff. I ain't talking about it, publicly until I'm gone. I don't know why I had that feeling. It's not like I planned on bringing shame to my department or to the case or anything. It was just, I never wanted my current victims, to think I was stuck on an old victim and that maybe they weren't getting the attention that they needed for what they had, maybe a kind of thing going on. I've been told a million times I was completely overthinking things. And probably I was, but I wanted to catch, I had caught those two bad guys. I had other bad guys I wanted to catch. So
it's like the show keeps going. Like, you got these two guys, but that part is over with. Now you have other cases you have to continue to, like, and I know you
stop coming in.
I know you've been involved with a lot of cases, and I want to have you back on the show to talk about more of the cases that you've been involved. Maybe we could get into some of the stories about some other cases that you've had dealings with.
I would love to do that. I would love to be on the show again. And I hope that this is good enough story to get people interested.
Yeah, man, it was an incredible story, and hopefully we can just put the victims in a light where they're respected, and hopefully these guys, one of them's already where he should be, and the other one, he's probably who knows, maybe people that are in the same prison with him might see this episode and find out why he's really there.
They know why he's there. There's no secrets in Menard.
No,
there's no secrets.
Oh,
you can't hide this.
He's probably sitting in the corner somewhere, balled up.
I have no doubt he's in a very protected unit there, but I'm willing to bet you that that's still really big hell. Menard is a bad prison, a bad prison. That's where bad dudes. There are bad dudes in Menard. I mean, this is Chicago. You're in. I know you're in New York.
I'm Connecticut, right next.
You're in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I understand New York. Okay. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a White Sox fan here. Right. But I'm also a Yankee fan. Right?
Oh, you got Yankees?
All right. So I'm also a Yankee fan. And I understand New York. And only people who dealt with the big city understand the big city and the dangers that there are there. I was just in New Orleans. My daughter became a doctor of speech pathology.
Wow.
And for her celebration, her graduation gift, my wife and I took her to New Orleans. She had never been and she wanted to go, and took her. And yeah, it's a really fun place.
One of my co-hosts is from New Orleans, Lisa.
Oh, it's an awesome freaking place, man. Awesome place. I don't know how much weight I gained because I won't go on the scale. I'm just going to work it off. I'm just working it off. I don't want to know what I gained.
The food's incredible, right?
The food is unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you could have a bad meal in New Orleans, it's because you're stupid. There's no such thing. It's the best. Well, that's a rough city, though.
Yeah.
I think it's the murder capital of the world now, and I'm walking there with my wife, my daughter, and her boyfriend. And I'm walking like this through there. I walk like this in public. It's my habit. They've never seen that, really, and they're, Dad, why do you walk like this with your hands up? I'm like, well, because when some guy comes up to me and says, I bet I know exactly where you got your shoes scam that they got going on, I can get him out of there already. Back, get out of here, step away, don't come near me, get back. I got my hands up already. That's how I talk to people on the job. And I instantly went back to that, and I didn't even know I was doing it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. No idea.
That's a crazy habit to have.
It's a terrible habit. It's a terrible habit. And I'm already Italian. My hands are lethal as it is.
Yeah, a lot of Italians talk with their hands.
Yeah.
I was just watching a video the other day. They're like, "Oh, Italians, how you know you're Italian? You fucking talking with your hands like all the time."
My mom's has Alzheimer's, and I spent several days with her last week. I sat with her for several days last week, and I saw the old. Well, I mean, I see my mom all the time, but when I spent all the time in that, I haven't spent like 15 hours in that house, in the house I grew up in. I can't tell you how long. You're there for 3 hours and you leave.
Yeah.
And I was going up and down the stairs looking for something for her, and I found the old gravy pots down there. My grandma's old gravy pots. Brought me right back to being a kid, cooking, watching my mom, my grandma cooking gravy right there in that kitchen. And I felt like a kid again. But the hand talking thing, I was sitting there on the couch, and the White Sox had a afternoon game one day. I put the game on. They're definitely the most disappointing team in Major League Baseball this year. Not the White Sox.
Yeah.
Everybody had them winning the whole thing. They're probably not even going to win their friggin' division, much less make the playoffs. And I mean, they're on a roll, a bit of a roll now. But even though they lost yesterday, but I ain't I ain't fooling nobody. I ain't going nowhere. I'm pretty sure of it. But anyway, I'm watching the game, and I played pretty high level baseball as a kid. Even in school, college, all that. I'm watching this ground ball go right to the shortstop, and it goes right through his fucking legs. And I look at my mother, and I go, how many fucking laps would I have run if that fucking happened? I put my hands hitting the thing, and my mother goes, and my mother, she's got Alzheimer's. I'm telling you, she got Alzheimer's. And she goes, I don't know, but you'd still be running them.
Yeah, if you let the ball just fly through your legs. Yeah, they used to make you do all these crazy drills, run up and down hills and shit, right?
Every time you don't get in front of the ball, you did that. Listen, I got bruises on me to this day that'll never go away from baseballs because there was no way I was running any more friggin' laps. I just, the ball hit you in the chin. Okay, better than a lap. There you go.
I made 2 hits in baseball. I was at home plate. I got hit with the ball. I go to first base. I get hit with the ball again, man. And they called me out.
Well, were you running in the baseline?
No, I was leading, and
Okay.
the dude goes to throw it to first, and the ball hits me.
Oh, you were leading off the base.
And they called me out, man.
You're out when it happens.
I got 2 hits, man. I got hit twice, and that was it.
Well, I'll remember this game well. I was playing. It was a Little League game, actually. Well, not Little League. I was 16. I hit a ball out in my first at bat. I hit a homer. My first at bat. It was a bomb too, rock. Every time we drive past that field, because it's like right by the house still, I tell my kids, I go, "You see that tree?" They're like, "Yes,
I hit a homer."
Hit a homer. Yes, I know. I'm like, "That's goddamn right. I hit it with a homer."
And you're going to say it every time you drive by it again, too.
Yeah, every time I'm going to say it. Well, the next time I come to the plate, I'm going to bunt. Decide I'm going to bunt. Everybody's playing back. So I'm going to bunt. I go to lay down the bunt, and the pitcher didn't get the freaking note that I was going to bunt. He threw right at my face, right? Hard. This kid ended up getting drafted, and he played in I think it was a Giants organization. This kid ended up getting drafted. He was really good. We threw real hard.
98 miles an hour fastball.
I don't know how fast it was, but it was in the 90s. I can tell you that. And it was right at my head. And when it got away, I'm like, holy shit. And I put the bat up like this, and the bat and the ball hits the bat when I put the bat up for protection. And it was a perfect bunt.
Get the fuck out of here. It worked.
I didn't do it on purpose. I was trying to get out of the way. And the ball hits the bat. It was I got a single out of it.
Oh, you made it to the base?
Yeah, I got a single out of it.
That's crazy, man.
I'm like, I decided I wasn't going to bunt anymore. I was going to swing the bat from here on out. But, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, just trying to save my life.
Definitely, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and telling me this crazy story. And I'm going to edit this video and put some pictures in it and different things and try to
I'd
do
be
it
happy
justice.
to send you some. I've got pictures of me. I got pictures of me from the riots. If we do this again, the riots would be a great story.
Yeah.
Those would be a great story. It was like, I don't have any freaking clue how many of them there were, but there was a lot.
What, riots in the street?
Riots in the street, and 60 of us.
And what was it all about, the riots?
This was George Floyd.
I went to Minneapolis. I went to George Floyd Square. I was right there. I just came back in July from Minneapolis. I was in Chicago. I met Stevie Bullets.
But next time you come to Chicago, I'm going to throw the feed bag on you like you ain't never had before.
I'll come out there. Definitely.
I'm serious. I'm going to throw a feed bag on you legit. I will. My dad's license plates read "Let's eat." Okay. It's a thing with us. We'll throw a meal on you. We'll roll you out the door. You'll be like the girl from Willy Wonka. What was her name? Violet.
Yeah, the blueberry. Yeah.
It'll be all pasta. We got to roll you out the door, but it'll be a great time. You'll love it. Yeah, there was the George Floyd riots. I'm in no way a fan of that cop, whatever the fuck that idiot's name is. To me, I think he was posing. I think he was kneeling on top of that guy and posing and looking like a badass. Like he planted the American flag on the moon. That's what he was doing, that copper.
I don't even think he deserves to be called a cop.
No,
really.
No. He's a terrible human being. I had a major rule as a street supervisor when I became a street supervisor. When you put cuffs on somebody, get him the fuck out of there. Get him wherever, or get him to the station, do your paperwork, and be done with it. There's no reason to stay on that scene with somebody who's handcuffed. You need to talk about it, debrief, go somewhere else, go to the police station. Get the guy out of there.
Yeah, you just sit there and keep him on the scene. Like, what? I don't get it.
Who does that shit? I was a cop for 26 years. Have I ever been on top of somebody? You better believe your ass I've been on top of somebody.
You have no choice. You have to do it sometimes.
I've fought with people. Have I ever lived on top of somebody? No. Once that guy's in handcuffs, there's no need for me to be on top of you no more.
Yeah.
Get him out of there. And he shouldn't definitely be laying on his stomach. Get him on his side. This ain't a death penalty case. The guy was a jag-off, acted like a jag-off. You had to deal with him a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, I heard that.
Arrested him, taken him to the station, and never thought about this man again in your life.
I talked to a lot of people who dealt with them cops, and they were harassing people in the community, like on a regular basis, constantly pulling people over here and there for stupid shit.
And it's probably, it might be true. I don't know. It depends on who you talk to in the community too.
Yeah.
because I've heard I can't tell you how many times I've heard from parents. You're always messing with my kid. Why are you always messing with my kid? I haven't seen your kid in 2 weeks. Last time I saw your kid was 2 weeks ago, lady. I'm not always messing with your kid. Believe me, I only mess with your kid when he fucks up. And I happen to get the piece of paper that says, go find your kid, the report that came in.
Yeah.
That's the only time I'm messing with your kid. Believe me when I'm telling you, okay? I have no desire to spend time with your child. I've got 6 of my own children that I got to spend time with. I don't need to spend time with your kid.
You're razzing my kid.
You're always bothering my kid. I'm bothering my kids. That's who the fuck I bother is my kids.
It has nothing to do with him holding a 40 Glock with a switch in a rap video, right?
Yeah. It's got, yeah, I'm not, your kid just shut up the corner.
Yeah.
That's why I'm bothering your son. And another one that I like to clear the air on is, we only stop these people in a car. I admit I was not a traffic guy. I did stop guys who I knew were bad guys once I found probable cause to stop them and, do what you got to do. You don't know who's in the goddamn car. I don't know their color. I don't know their race. You don't know none of it until you approach the car and see the person. I can't see who's in the car. Who? I try to remember all the time. I am not
their heads.
I cannot see in a car that's going by me 30, 40 miles an hour. I don't know who's in the car. I don't know who's in the car. I'll look for cars more than people. You get a description of a car that's involved in a crime. I can look for a car.
So what if you don't have a description, say like a car has rims on it with tints? Is that like a car that you're going to be like, okay, let me...
Well, if it's the same type of car or in style, I mean, it's got to be more than just, for me, it has to be more than that. I mean, if I'm looking for, if they're saying it's an SUV with certain rims and like tinted windows, I'm not going to stop a car that's got certain rims and tinted windows. It's the SUV. That's that color.
Yeah.
With it, I mean, I'm looking for a bad guy, not a guy, not some guy. I'm looking for this bad guy.
You agree with it though, that the cops do stop people sometimes for just to stop people.
I 100% agree with that. We are not perfect. We're not perfect people. We have bad guys who are cops.
Yeah,
that's why it's newsworthy when a cop comes out bad. It's newsworthy because the vast majority of us are not. So when you find a jagoff, it's newsworthy. It's not newsworthy. Hey, Sergeant Malone just arrested somebody for robbery. That is not newsworthy. Why? Because that's what we do. But it becomes newsworthy when the cop takes it over the top. When the cop does something he's not supposed to do.
3 cops just got fired from Connecticut police station, man.
I'm not familiar with it.
They're doing some legal activity. I'm not really sure what they were doing, but
look, if you're a bad guy, you get what you get. What you do for a living doesn't make a difference. All right? I ain't the perfect man. I'm not the perfect man. I wasn't the perfect cop. I'm never going to be the perfect man. For the rest of my life, I'll never be perfect. No one's going to be. All right? There's a difference between making an error and a mistake and being a jagoff and intentional. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kneeling on that guy's back like that. It's not a mistake. He didn't make a mistake. He's a jagoff.
Yeah, that is intentional, definitely. But
There's.
we're gonna get into all that another time. And
I'm sorry, bro. I'm
I'm gonna
sorry. You're just
I'll
cool
have
guy to talk to.
thank you, man. I appreciate that. But I'm gonna have you on another time. We're gonna have you tell me more stories about when the riots or whatever cases you can drum up, man. I'm excited to hear more.
And
And
I'm going to tell you some Steve Bullet shit too.
yeah, because he's like, what time are you interviewing him? I want to ask him some questions. I'm like, it's not a live interview, it's pre-recorded. But
Yeah, I know he wants to ask me questions, but
I
here's
know.
the thing. He's got my phone number.
I know. You could just call him, Bullets, man.
Call me. He's called me lots of times for things that, he could call me for anything. Look, you want to know what the biggest success is? At my retirement party, I had a table full of dudes that were all gangbangers that I arrested and are now business owners, dads. They got, and every one of them looked at me dead in the eye over the years and said, I'm not saying you saved me, and I'm not taking credit for that. They saved themselves, okay? But I had an impact on them. That's all we're here for. That's what we are on this planet to do, to make an impact on other people, to make them better people. That's why God put us here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that until the day I die. But I'm just going to do it with my grandkids now.
Hey, man, one day at a time, just do the right thing, right?
Absolutely.
I had a really bad past, and I changed my life, and I'm moving forward. I just wanna be a good person, man. I have almost close to 4 years in sobriety, and I plan on keeping it moving in
There's
sobriety.
nothing better than seeing the world for the way that the world really is. Because I think a lot of times some of the issues of sobriety ends up being a self-medicated issue so you can deal with the way the world is. Well, you really, when you do that, you're just putting it in your pocket and it comes back out later. There's plenty of beautiful, great, wonderful things in this world. There, it's so vast. We haven't touched any of it. And if we're putting some of it in our pocket, we're missing something. We have to understand we have to come to the point where we understand as a society, you're never going to just get good. You're also going to get bad. And when we get the bad things, I think that we need to lean more on those good things instead of taking things to make us forget. I think instead what we need to do is remember those great things. Go to bed at night with the greatest woman this planet has ever seen.
With the CPAP machine.
The CPAP machine's fucked. But
CPAP machine's probably going to end up with a restraining order against you.
I think two of them had them. Yeah. It's great to meet you, brother. And if
You too, man.
I would love to meet with you again. And I really hope you get a good show out of this.
Definitely, man. It's going to be an incredible show, and I think people are really going to like it. And
they're going to love me. Yeah, I'm great. Yeah. The women will be all over it. Yeah. It'll be the most watched female podcast you've ever done because of this face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll be great. Yeah.
Well, thank you, man.
Veil next time. You might have a better shot.
Hey, it'll be good, man. Yeah, man. Next time it'll be good. I'll have you on again and tell some more stories. But I appreciate you taking the time. And is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we go?
Yeah, let's give one to Steve. Let's give a shot to Steve Bullets. Seeing you doing what you're doing, the way you're doing it, for the reasons that you're doing it, makes me very proud. I didn't save your life. You're going to tell the story I saved your life. I did not save your life. I just helped you. And I'm glad. I'm really glad. I'm really happy, and I think you're a great man. I think you're a good man today. Thank you for doing that.
We're gonna get into Stevie Bullett's story, how you got to meet Stevie Bullets and all that. We'll get into that another time. But thank you so much for joining me, man. And he'll be on again to tell more stories. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Till next
If you
time.
ain't if you ain't watching Bill Staxx, you're really fucked up.